This is Anthony from Highwire HQ. I'm the author of How to Find a Job in 6 Weeks, quite a successful book on job hunting and job search. I'm also a human resource professional for well over 30 years and I've recruited hundreds of people. I'm in a great position to pass on my knowledge and give you the insider tips on how to find a job. Today I want to talk about 3 questions that will trip you up at the interview. They're very discreet questions. They almost sit underneath the radar and you don't see them coming. But there's a deliberate reason why the recruiter's asking you these questions. What quite often happens is that when companies are advertising for a job, they like to make it bigger and better and more attractive than what it really is. Most jobs have a proportion of work that is boring, mundane and transactional, but they're not going to tell you that. They want good candidates to front up at the interview. So these questions are geared by companies and recruiters to make sure that you're prepared to do some of the yucky stuff, the underlying work, the transactional stuff that's in part of your job that they're not telling you about. So what are these questions? Let me tell you what they are right now. I can see you're getting all very excited. The first question is, what task do you like doing the least at work? The second question is, what things annoy you the most at work? And the third question, what skills would you like to improve? I'm going to go through each one of these questions now, and I'm going to give you some recommendations on how to answer them properly. So at least you can leave the interview feeling, you know what, I've done a great job here. The best way to answer these questions is to turn a negative into a positive. I call it the reverse answer. So for example, what task do you like doing the least? I would say that I didn't like doing transactional work, boring, administrative type functions within my job. And I can assure you there's a lot of that in my profession also. But I used to turn the question around and say that I used to dislike doing the transactional and boring work so much that it prompted me to look for ways of eliminating those boring tasks and to make it more efficient in my job so I can do the more important stuff. So looking for non-value-added activity, looking for smarter ways of doing those tasks. That's how I turned that question from a negative into a positive. And you can do the same in your profession, as long as it's probable for your job. The next question, what things annoy you the most at work, is really about people and culture. You see, every organisation has a different culture, a different diversity, a different way of doing things. No organisation is the same. And what the recruiter is looking for here is, are you a fit for the culture? By trying to work out what type of cultures you don't like or what type of personalities you dislike. I used to answer this question by saying I used to get annoyed when I worked in organisations where people weren't really trying hard. They would come to work, do what they need to do and go home. They weren't inquisitive, they weren't looking for new ways of doing things, and they weren't generating ideas. They just did the work. Well, that used to annoy me deep down inside. When you answer a question like that, you are now projecting that you are an individual that likes to make improvements and change things. How can an organisation not like that? We have turned a negative into a positive. The last question is, what skills would you like to improve? What the recruiter's trying to do here is look at your weaknesses in terms of the things that you don't do well. Are they going to have to spend too much time trying to teach you? Are there some really key tasks that you don't know how to do? Sometimes they're around systems, programs, software that you need to use every day. And they really don't have the infrastructure to teach you so much from the beginning. So it's a question geared to finding out, well, how much do we really need to teach you, and is that going to be a burden? I answered this question quite simply by saying these sorts of things. I didn't enjoy doing the financial parts of my job and what HR professional does. I wasn't great with numbers. I didn't really enjoy the accounting part of it. But then I learnt that if I was going to go to my boss with an idea and he wanted a payback, a return on investment on that idea, then I would have to produce some numbers, a spreadsheet that would show what was the return on investment or the payback of this idea over a period of time. A cost-benefit analysis. So I taught myself how to do that. So I turned a weakness into a strength. There you have it. The 3 questions that'll trip you up at the interview if you're not careful, because they are so innocent and sit under the wire of the fabric of questions that interviewers will ask you. I would like you to subscribe to my channel, like it, because I'm trying to push this content out to a broader audience. Not everyone can afford a career counsellor, coach, a mentor. They can be expensive. So subscribe and like, and that'll help generate some momentum so that I can push this content out to those that really need it. My next video is going to be about another interesting topic around the recruiting process and questions, again, that you need to handle very well. I look forward to speaking to you about these questions and how you can tackle answering those very difficult parts of the interview. Until then, I look forward to seeing you. Bye for now.